Hello, Wes.
Hey, Phil.
How are you, babe?
I'm great. How are
I
you?
am
I am
fantastic.
so excited for today.
Me too.
Let's just jump in.
Yeah, so this season we're doing something new. We're doing a spotlight series where we introduce you to someone who inspires us with their life and their talent.
Yes. And that person, it's our first spotlight
hmm
of this season. I think it's our first time having a Grammy nominated
yeah.
artist on
hmm
the show.
Big deal.
Jamie Floyd is here. She's been not Grammy two-time Grammy nominated independent songwriter and recording artist who's here in Nashville, wrote songs for Ty Herndon, our buddy Jake Hoot, Kelly Clarkson, Miranda Lambert, Kesha, Cassidy Pope, Brian McKnight,
hmm
and there's a lot more. I mean, this bio is like 3
Oh, it's
hours long.
lengthy.
So why don't we jump in?
Let's do it.
Yes, Jamie Floyd, welcome.
Yay!
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here. So.
Well, first of all, we want to say thank you for your time. I was telling her before we started recording, she's one of the busiest people if you follow her on Instagram, it's like she doesn't sleep. I don't know. I don't know how she does it. But
yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. Very sweet.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. You've been busy. I want to talk about everything you're doing. You make this world such a great place.
Yes.
We've seen you many times. The basement,
the
listening room, again coming up. So, God, you've been here 20 years. Tell us everything in 3 minutes.
And go.
Here we go. So I'm originally from West Palm Beach, Florida. I celebrated my 20 years of living in Nashville last August. And I have kind of a crazy story. I got a record deal when I was 11 years old. Wow. And I come from a family of musicians. So that, not that everybody was getting record deals or whatever, but everybody was in it from a very young age. So it was kind of normal to just go to work. You're 11, you've got a job, let's do this. And so I got a very early start in the industry, and I moved to Nashville a few years after that deal as a teenager. And I really, of course, my heart has always been I have an artist's heart. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to stand on stage and sing my songs. And, life had a little bit of a different trajectory at first. I moved to Nashville to be a singer. And then my songwriting career started just coming alive. I got my first big cut when I was 22 on Ronnie Dunn's debut solo album. And from there, I was like, I just kind of started following all the open doors as they opened, and I'm still doing that now. And the beautiful thing that's happened is over all these years, I have had the privilege of writing songs for artists that I admire and that inspire me. And at the same time, I've gotten to release my own music. So I've kind of been able to have the best of all the worlds while still being on a path that looks a lot different than what I thought it would be. But yeah, so that's kind of the really quick background story. But I've always also been someone who has not necessarily followed all of the rules here.
Hey.
And I've kind of, I have certainly tried, and it didn't quite work for me. And so I became my own publisher several years ago, and I've been very fortunate to have champions that have found me in this business. But there just came a point where I was like, let me see what happens if I just believe in myself all the way and use these connections and relationships and everything. And so I've been really proud as an independent publisher. That's when I got my first Grammy nomination, and it's just been a wild ride, but it's allowed me to really make my own schedule. Like you mentioned, I don't sleep, so that's all my fault. And I've just been really, I've just kind of forged my own path, and I've gotten cuts that I, you're not supposed to get the outside cuts and all the sad songs and everything. And that's my thing, big hair, sad songs. And that's what I do. Yeah. And I'm just, I'm going to stand by it. And so that's all of that in a nutshell.
I think that you're at the show at the basement. You had played an upbeat song and you're like, all right, enough of that. Back to the sad songs. Everybody went crazy. Like, we just love that. How, when you get to Nashville, do you just start meeting people and writing with people? You talk about doors opening. Yeah. I'm sure that they always call it a 10-year town. Mm-hmm. You had success kind of right out of the gate. So you get to Nashville, you just start meeting people and writing.
Yeah, I had applied for a bunch of scholarships at Belmont, and full disclosure, I dropped out after a year and a half. But that's the path of a lot of people who come here. But I bring that up because immediately when I got to Belmont, I met John Osborne of Brothers Osborne. I met Chris Young, and these are all, John was in my band. He was my lead guitar player. So immediately the people that I met were extremely talented. And also I learned so much from them. Like rhythm guitar, I learned from watching John play in all of our jams. And Chris was such an incredible singer to just help elevate you when we were singing together and writing together. And I just immediately threw myself into the class of creators that that were my age and everything when I got here. And then little by little, I realized, like, gosh, if I can really just really give myself to the craft of songwriting and become the very best songwriter that I can be, that'll also hopefully put a spotlight on my voice and my artistry. And then those things will work together. And so that is kind of what happened. And as I started writing songs and singing live, there would be people who I admired and songwriters that I looked up to and songs, who had written songs that that made me want to move to this town. And I started to get to write with those people. And little by little, I got into rooms with some of my favorite songwriters, and I've had cuts with some of those writers. And it all happened very organically, though, and it really was all relationship based, and it still is to this day. And when people kind of get to know you and your style and your work ethic and your heart, like I would say my co-writers have made more things happen for me in my career than anyone else, than any business partner, than anything. My co-writers have been truly the biggest blessings. So
I find it fascinating. Songwriting to me is very fascinating because I have written one song in my life. And I'll go back and read it, and it's just humiliating. I mean, it is just awful. But my question to you is, you have written, there's no telling how many songs you've written. Do you hear music when you're like, is the tune in your head, or is it just you write things out and then you add a tune afterwards? Or is that just kind of go together, or is it just whatever happens?
Yeah, for me, it depends. I would say I've done a lot of writing by myself over the last 10 years because I've been brought in to create Broadway musicals and film and TV, where a lot of times you're tapped to write things by yourself. So when I write by myself, typically I start, for film and television and something that's very moody or very specifically asked of me, I usually start with a vibe on the guitar. I write on guitar. So I'll start with kind of a vibe and a melody that might come over that to fit whatever the ask is. But if it's something that's not on a super quick deadline and something that I can think about, I typically go lyrics first and find the concept, and then find out what the music is that fits that specific lyric. But in co-writes, I would say that more and more I've just loved coming into the lyricist role. And of course, like I'll be put into writes with artists who maybe don't play an instrument or whatever. So of course I am happy to do both. But my favorite thing is to sit in the room and kind of take it all in and be there with people that inspire me and just dive into the lyrics. That's lately my favorite thing.
Did you ever write poems when you were a kid?
Yes.
Like, okay, because I never did, but like it just kind of takes me to that point. It's like, God, if you're diving into the lyrics, it's really about that art.
Yeah, I always loved words. So I was just the classic bookworm as a child. I was like, when everybody like had their Game Boys or video games or whatever, I'm dating myself, but when we had those things, I wanted like the Jeopardy video game, so I was a weird, like studious little kid, and I always loved words and books. Oh gosh, I loved reading. I love reading. And so as a kid, I would write kind of metered poems. And when I got my record deal as a child, they gave me a publishing deal too. And I didn't even know what that was, but they were like, oh, you're going to write songs. We're going to basically teach you, and you're going to be in the room or whatever. And my very first co-write in Nashville as a child, I'm talking like 12 years old, I was in the room with 2 Grammy nominated songwriters as well, Greg Barnhill and Jim D'Addario. And they came out of the room when my mom was sitting there, because I had to have a guardian, I was a kid. And they said to my mom, she's going to be a songwriter. Like, she's going to be able to do this for her job if she wants to. And we were both like, I don't know what that means. And I really remember that moment in my life because I didn't know what that meant, but I found out pretty quickly that putting words and emotions to music was something that not only could I do, but I had to do. And it was something that was really special that I discovered by accident. So yeah, it's really changed my life, and I never expected to be a songwriter. That's for sure. Which is fun.
Are you ever driving around and like you think something, you're like, that's going to be a song, or is it? It does.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know if you were like had to sit down and be like, it is now time to write a song, or if you're just at a traffic light, you're like, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. In fact, the latest single that I put out called Sad Girls Do, I was driving in East Nashville with my husband, and it was on a license plate. And it was right in front of us. And I remember the dinner we were going to and everything. And like I had been possessed, like all of the lyrics for the first verse and the top of the chorus came to me like I could not stop it. And I wrote them all down. And a few weeks later, we had a co-write where I felt like, okay, this is the co-write to bring this idea to. And so yes, a lot of times I'll see something, hear something. I was watching I was watching some kind of like trash reality TV, and I get so many ideas from that. You'd be surprised. And so, but when something really hits me, I actually can't help but usually a lot of information comes with it. So.
Pretty cool.
So a question for you. I know you had mentioned in the beginning how you've had ups and downs in Nashville. When you moved here, I'm sure there was lots of struggles. There was a quote that I wrote down that I loved that you said, and it said, I went from being flown to Nashville and New York to perform in glamorous shows with peoples whose albums I listened to, being driven around in limos, ordering anything off the menu courtesy of the label, to now cleaning up rat droppings under the frozen yogurt machine at 7 a.m. at my job, all before I turned 18. Now that's a huge amount of emotions for someone who's just 18.
Yeah.
So from that point on, how have you dealt with this is great, this is my chance, and then, okay, maybe this is not the path? How do you stay so positive? Because I feel like you just have this positive energy all the time. Is that always you?
Well, I feel like the fact that I have found a home in writing sad songs, that is where I channel all of the heaviness of the rejection and also just what comes with chasing a dream that is ever evolving. And I think what I would say is no, I am not always that way, but I decided a long time ago that I was never going to allow an external no to be what I listen to. The only no that I will ever really take is the one from me. And if I'm not willing to say no, and if I'm not ready to be done, I'm not going to be done. And I've had like I said, I've run into a lot of champions and beautiful souls in this business. And I've also run into some really, really dark energy. And the most powerful thing to stand up to that kind of greed and energy is love, and is positivity, and is the knowingness inside of me that I know I am meant to be here and that I should be here, and that my path is ultimately dictated by me. And outside forces may try and mess with that, but I decided a long time ago I wasn't going to. I just wasn't going to allow it. And so that positive energy comes from a place of knowing, of just knowing that I'm doing what I should be doing, and that rejection that of course comes with the territory is something that that is only fuel to the fire. That is why I can write the songs that I write. So as I continue, because anyone who is chasing a dream, whether it be in music, whether it be in any other profession, and if you're trying to do something and you're coming up against the obstacles that come along with it, I really believe that if you are able to understand that the only no that counts is yours, then you'll be able to keep going, and you will be able to continue to have a positive outlook even when things are really dark. And I've come across some really, really heavy and really greed-centered situations in this business, and I have come out on the other side even better because of this attitude. And I would share that information with anybody else who feels like, they're a one-woman show like me. But yeah, that's, I know that's a lot, but that's what I would say.
Oh, have you ever done a TED Talk?
I was just about to say that. I literally was like, you should do a TED Talk. I'm so inspired right now.
Oh, thank you. I would love to do a TED Talk with the songs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like somehow.
Yeah, it's that inner energy and that inner voice and that inner person saying, I can do that. Because I used to be in a place in life, if somebody told me a no, whether it was, to go on a date with them or in business, I would crawl in a hole for 3.5 weeks.
Yep.
And then I'd be like a meerkat and peek out.
Yeah.
Is everything okay? But when you find that inner confidence, and could be a daily, a weekly, monthly struggle.
Yeah.
Right. Over and over and over again.
Yeah. And I've truly just been like, those moments, because of course we all have them, and we're all human, right? Sorry, the dog. all the things happening. But we've all been in those scenarios, and of course I've been kicked down, and of course I have felt like just as rejected as I could possibly be. But I have found a way to take that and find a way to use it instead of let it stop me. Much to the I really have been up against some people who wished I would have stayed down, and I haven't. And I would just encourage anybody else who has been kicked down to use it as your fuel and to prove everybody wrong. Get in there.
Down to your why. Why are you here? Why are you doing it? Yeah, you want to make a living. Yeah, you want to affect people's lives, but it's not about those people telling you no. Your why is in here.
That's right.
Right? And you keep going.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I'm just blown away by is you mentioned this at one of the shows that I was at the listening room, and you mentioned it earlier about the musical that you're writing for. And in my mind, they were like, hey, can you write just one song for us for the music? And they were like, no, we need you to write the
entire thing,
the songs in a musical. Now I'm obsessed with theater, so I can't imagine how difficult that is. So I'm just very interested in the process. Like, how do you, like, I don't even know how you start. Did you have any clue how to start there? Or were you like, do I write the first song first, or do I write the third song? Or?
Oh, let me tell you. So I don't have a background in theater, but I have so much respect for that industry and the expertise it takes to pull it off. So many moving parts and so many people that have to be a part of a team. But I will say that 6 years ago, I got involved, and my film and television agent at the time was like, hey, I got a call from one of my colleagues. Would you be willing to write some songs on spec for a Broadway musical that they have in development? They want to find one woman who can write all the songs, because it's really important to the producer of the show that it have a female leadership, because a lot of times in Broadway, just women are not afforded every single kind of higher up position, and they wanted to see what would happen if that could happen. And so I was like, no. I was like, I don't know how to do that. And she was like, no, I just written a whole soundtrack at the time. And she was kind of like, oh, well, you just did 12-song soundtrack. Like, what's the difference? You can do it. And I was like, I think it's pretty different. It sounds pretty different, but I gave it a try. And after I turned in a few songs, I got brought on. But the way this show was working is, for a couple years, the book writer, who is now one of my best friends and my partner in crime on this show, her name is Melissa Annis. She's a Welsh playwright who is just an incredible award-winning playwright. She had been working on the book for 2 years, and she kind of had placements in the script where it was like, song about this here, song about this here, maybe this is here. And so I came in and I just started, I read the whole script and I went, what am I inspired to write right now? So I just went in that way. I didn't go in order. I just kind of picked spots that were speaking to me where I was kind of hit with, oh, this is what I should do. And now here we are 30 songs later. And
Wow.
30 songs.
yeah. And I've written more than that. By the way, we've cut songs. We have cut songs. So I have like albums full. Maybe we'll put those out someday. But what's really beautiful is we're finally at a point with the show where I have written all the moments of music and everything. Something to understand about writing a musical intended for Broadway is that it is constantly, imagine, I know you said you've written one song, but imagine working on the same song for 6 years, because that is what I have done. It's like working on the same album for 6 years. And so everything's always tweaking and you know, you're trying to deepen it and make it better. But we're at a place where the script is finally the container that it will always be. You know, all the plot points, everything is there. All of the songs and the major moments are all there. And now it's just deepening and tweaking and making it better. But we have our debut, a concert style performance of the show, 4 of them, coming up in July at the Adirondack Theater Festival. We're a feature in their summer concert series, the New Work feature. And our director is Tamla Woodard from Hadestown. She is incredible. And this little team that we've kind of been assembling for this show and beyond has been super exciting. So here I am working with all these incredibly successful and amazing people from the theater community. And I'm like the new one. I'm new here. How does this work? And so they've been so lovely to kind of help walk me through. And another person who I really look up to, another creator that has also taken this path, is Brandy Clark. And she has been such an incredible mentor for me and has walked me through this process anytime I need her. She just had her Tony-nominated musical Shucks do really well.
Shane McAnally.
Yeah, and Shane too. Yeah, the two of them are just absolutely
insane.
Doing everything. They are doing everything. And so I just am very inspired by the two of them because they come from the same, you know, background and we all learned here in Nashville, right, how to craft our songs. So it's really exciting to see them do it and know it's possible and still be on the road and still write for everybody and kind of straddle the two career paths when it comes to writing for Broadway and then writing for commercial music. And so I'm just so excited. And the show, by the way, is called The King's Wife. Okay. And it is a retelling of the story of Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, and Henry VIII, and kind of that love triangle. We have read between the lines of history, and those women, basically the show is about what happens when powerful women kind of dare to speak up against the system, and how that system comes in and rewrites their stories. Because right, the person who writes the books is usually the winner of the war, not, you know, so you're not necessarily getting the whole story. And so ours is a retelling of this through the eyes of Catherine of Aragon's head lady in waiting, Maria de Salinas, for Catherine and Anne's children who were left motherless because these women were erased from history, or, you know, taken from their children. And that is very heavy. But at the same time, the story that what we're really getting at is that no matter how small you think your light is, if you are willing to shine it in a dark world, you will show up and someone will see you and you will be inspiring to someone. And it's just for anybody out there who feels like their dial has been turned down, no matter how they've tried to turn it up. And so that's really what the heart of the story is. And just through the lens of that moment in history.
I'm so excited for this.
And that is in July, right?
That's in July. And there's a huge, I don't know if this is going to air in time for me to talk about it, but there's another huge announcement we have coming up for the show after July. And I would just say you can follow the King's Wife musical on Instagram, or you can follow me, Jamie Floyd, on Instagram, and know what that announcement is. I believe it's coming here in the next couple months. So we have July, and then we have an even bigger announcement after
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
Because that's July 19th through 21st. Let's go to New York.
let's go. Shoot.
Oh my gosh, come. And the other thing is, just to
That'd
get
be
everybody excited, we've been releasing singles from the musicals. So there are 2 singles out right now. One called I Know You, one called Always Almost. So if you want to be able to sing along when you come, you can listen to those. So yeah.
And what are some of the songs you've released recently? You've just been so hot. Like there's new music coming out.
I have I released what I call a 3-song sad pack over 2023. Who doesn't love a good sad pack, right? The last release, I also released a Christmas single last year, but my latest release, it's called Sad Girls Do, was named one of Spotify's best of 2023 all genre, which was really exciting. They put that on their best of 2023 playlist for independent releases. So I made a music video for that, and it's just been really, really exciting to not only write for everyone else and come in and write for the albums and Broadway and all the things, but to really put music out that is my voice, and that, to sing the songs that I write on stage every night that I'm releasing is really special. And so, yeah, if you haven't heard it, it's very sad, but it's also, it's just very me. So yeah, I would love for you to hear it.
You are so great. And here's the thing. I think I met you through Jake Hoot for the first time, or Ty Herndon at Agave. One of those two. And those artists like you could be on a stage with a guitar and you're a powerhouse, or you could be on stage with your full band and you're a powerhouse. Like that energy is just, it's so amazing. We got a voice for podcasts. You are like that one on stage, right? You are, and it is, and I'm not just saying that. It's when we look around, when we're at the listening room, you look around and people are just, phones are down and they're staring,
enraptured by you.
It's amazing. And the last one we went to is Matt Boyd, and Jamie or Chrissy Metz.
Yes.
With you. And I mean, just people and standing ovation. I mean, that if y'all listening have never been to the listening room or the Bluebird Cafe, that is the Nashville experience.
Amen.
I agree. It's so fun to play those shows because they're so intimate, and you can tell the stories behind the songs, and you can, it's just so, it's such an interesting way to interact with an audience and interact with the people who are on stage with you. It's like you're in your living room, but not, but a full bar as well. It's a really special experience. And yeah, if you have the chance, come to Nashville, come to the Bluebird. Yeah. Come to any of those venues, are incredible. Yeah.
Well, you also wrote the theme song for the Arena Football League, the new Arena Football League here in Nashville.
We have a new,
Yeah. So speaking of Ty Herndon, this is a perfect segue. So Ty Herndon and I got the opportunity to write the theme song for the Nashville Cats Arena Football team. And we did. And my husband, Jimmy Thau, produced this incredible music. I'm hoping those guys run onto the field with with so much enthusiasm. That track is incredible. It is so, it's just exactly what I wanted it to be. And so the three of us kind of, dived into that collaboration. Ty and I did our vocals. Jimmy did like a rock vocal. So you'll hear Jimmy singing as well on one of the versions. And it's the Nashville Cats, and the song is called Claws Out.
I didn't know we had an Arena Football League.
Well, it's brand new. So we used to. So here's what's crazy. Years ago. They've brought it back. And I know Jeff Fisher is involved, and they're really ramping it up. And the first kickoff, the big kickoff show, is April 27th. And then, again, I think I can say this because it's coming up. And then I'll be doing the national anthem on the Mother's Day game on May 12th, if you want to come. But I'll be at the April 27th too. So if you see me in the crowd, jamming to our song, I've never heard my song in a big arena like that before. So that'll be really cool. But come to opening night on the 27th if you're around.
April 27th. Where are they playing at?
They're playing at the Municipal Auditorium.
Perfect.
So that's where
assuming it was there. It's got to be a big place. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where all the games will be, all the home games, obviously. And it's super exciting. I can't wait for everybody to hear the song.
That's super cool.
That is so amazing. I'm so excited for everything that you're doing. And I love how Nashville, like we're not in the music biz, but it's so intertwined, even with people we know that you know. And then it's just amazing. You said relationships earlier. It was this organic relationship. And it's almost just like trusting the process, but also how do you enjoy the journey? Right? Because I mean, you come here, you're like, okay, I want a Grammy. But then there's all these, it's playing Broadway, it's writing on Music Row, it's writing in a room like this, or writing at your kitchen table or at Starbucks. How do you enjoy the journey?
That is the key right there, right? The balance, finding the balance, between work and just relaxing or doing things for fun, and also never also just the hustle, right? Never, because you feel like you can't stop. You feel like you're going to fall behind. And I think that's definitely that's how it appears, but I don't think that's true anymore. What I've found is in these last couple years, I have really tried to ask myself honestly, what would make you happy in terms of creating? Because I feel like I know what I have to do. You have to go write with this person. You have to do this. You have to play this many show dates. You have to put out this many songs, and you have to do this and that. But I really started asking myself, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? Where do I want to spend my time? What brings me the most joy when I'm a part of this or that? And the answer was, for me, that I love traveling and I love being on stage, right? And that may look different than what I imagined, as a teenager moving here, but gosh, like I'd want to sing in a theater every night, just me and my guitar, and with people, amazing human beings, as well as artists like Jake Hoot, like Ty Herndon. For instance, like Jim Brickman, who I'm getting ready to go on tour with. Like Jim and I are about to do a tour where it's just me and him on stage with our instruments, singing together, telling the stories behind our songs. I mean, I just opened the doors to my life to allow myself to do things like that, because that sounds amazing, right? and at the same time, trying to balance, like, I feel like the Broadway musical is trying to take over my life, to be completely honest with y'all. And I'm working on 2 other ones. So I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
but at the same time, I'm like, do I love my collaborators? Yes. Am I so proud of our work? Yes. And if it means for 2 months, I'm going to be in a theater somewhere bringing the show up, well, then that's what my life is going to look like at that point. And I'm just trying to be less rigid and more open to the doors that are opening easily rather than force things. And so, to answer your question in a very long-winded way, I'm just really trying to only give my attention and my full creative energy to the things that are actually making me happy with the people that I love. And that's making it's kind of making things very clear as to what I should be doing and who I should be doing it with. So I'm letting the energies kind of lead me where I should go. Yeah.
I love that. And I think that goes back to what you mentioned earlier about you're the one that gets to say no. So you get to choose what you want to do, when you want to do it. And that's what brings you joy. So I love that.
I mean, I think, well, thanks. I think we exhaust ourselves when we say yes to everything. And it's not from a place of like, oh, you're too good for this, you're too busy for this or that. It really isn't that. Like, I think all of us, again, no matter what you're trying to do or what you're trying to build, that being able to say no to the things that aren't in alignment with you is just as important as saying yes, to the things that are. And so I've just learned to be more comfortable saying no, and really so that I can say yes to things I really love. Yeah.
Love it. Well, where can everybody find your stuff? Obviously, Jamie Floyd on Instagram.
Yes.
Where can they find your music, website, all that good stuff?
Sure. A kind of a hub for everything. My website is officialjamiefloyd.com, and that'll lead you everywhere. And then you can also find me on Facebook, Jamie Floyd Music, on on Threads, on YouTube is also Jamie Floyd Music. But if you go to officialjamiefloyd.com, that'll take you everywhere. That'll take you to my Spotify. That'll take you everywhere. So yeah.
Okay. And Threads, that's a new one. What is that?
I'm not 100% sure I joined it. I get notifications, but I don't know what I'm doing.
I can barely keep up. Oh, TikTok as well. It's just so much. God, so
it's
much.
a lot nowadays. It's a lot different than the 11-year-olds we were when life was a lot simpler.
Yeah.
You went to the studio. You went to was that the era that Lila McCann? We've had her on, and Leanne Rhymes, because they got deals around that same time.
Yes. They were just
same age.
Yeah, they were just a few years ahead of me, which is how I got signed, because they were like, we need to have more Lila McCann and Leanne Rhymes and Mandy Moore's lined up, and here you are.
Yes. Yeah. We had Lila on a couple seasons ago.
Yeah.
We love spotlighting amazing people. And thank you so much. You're so busy. And
yes, thank you,
we
Jamie.
just appreciate. I do have one request. You need another sold out show at the 8th Room. That was a power. I had never been there. And
so fun, right?
I love
It's a cool venue. I went to see a comedian there and had no idea it existed.
It's right.
It's
in the middle of
cool
everything. And I'm
cool
like, how is
venue.
this?
Yeah, it's so fun in there. And yes, I will do that again for you. Have all the disco balls going and just like.
Yes. Well, thank you so much,
Yes.
dear.
Thank you, Jamie.
Give our best to Jimmy as well. Her husband is so talented.
Yeah, I met him the first night at the listening room.
Oh,
because
yeah.
He kept saying they were both exhausted. I kept telling him, go home, go to bed. Don't stay. He's like, I have to. She's here. I'm like, okay.
Well, y'all are so sweet to have me. Thank you so much for just the opportunity to talk about all the things. And I'm wishing you the best with all of this. I love what you're doing. So,
Well, thank you. And we're grateful to have you here in Nashville. You're such a good example. And so thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. We'll see you soon.
Yes. See you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, babe.
Bye, Phil.
Have a good week.
See you next time.